The Exterminated. Why the world refuses to hold China accountable for the Uyghur genocide. Part 4. The architecture of the genocide. How China built a modern system of ethnic erasure. The genocide of the Uyghurs is not a spontaneous eruption of violence. It is not chaos. It is not disorder. It is a system, a perfectly engineered, precisely administered, coldly executed machine of cultural and biological erasure, designed by the Chinese Communist Party with the same bureaucratic discipline that builds highways, skyscrapers, and train networks. It is genocide by algorithm, genocide by policy paper, genocide by spreadsheet, by surveillance tower, by police checkpoint, by sterilization clinic. And the world pretends it is complicated. Let us outline the spine of this machine, clearly, factually, and unforgivingly. 1. The People's War on Terror. How China used 9/11 to launch its own ethnic purge. After September 11, 2001, the United States declared its war on terror. Beijing saw an opportunity, a geopolitical gift. Within months, China rebranded the entire Uyghur population as potential terrorists, using language copied directly from U.S. counterterrorism manuals. No investigations. No evidence. No cases. A whole ethnicity was equated with extremism by decree. Between 2001 and 2014, Uyghurs were banned from praying in public, Uyghur children were forbidden from attending mosque, Uyghur parents were punished for giving their children Islamic names, security forces burned Qurans in public squares, Han Chinese workers flooded Xinjiang under government relocation programs. This was the prelude, a slow tightening of the rope until it snapped into a noose. By 2014, President Xi Jinping made it official. Show them absolutely no mercy. Those were his words. 2. Mass internment, the largest network of concentration camps of the 21st century. China denies the existence of camps. But satellite images, survivor testimonies, leaked CCP documents, and investigative reports leave no doubt. Over 1 million Uyghurs have been detained, though experts estimate the real number is between 1.5 and 3 million, because many are never registered, never seen again. What happens inside? Torture, electric shocks, waterboarding, gang rapes, forced confessions, hunger punishments, indoctrination marathons lasting 12 to 14 hours a day, beatings for speaking Uyghur language, sleep deprivation, forced sterilization, forced renunciation of Islam, forced praise of Xi Jinping. These are not vocational training centers. This is not de-radicalization. This is ethnic liquidation. The deliberate breaking of a people, cell by cell, until their identity dissolves. 3. Forced labor, the new face of slavery in global supply chains. Today, nearly 20% of the world's cotton is tainted by forced Uyghur labor. So are solar panel components, textiles, tomato products, polysilicon, electronics, automotive parts. China has built a $10 trillion economy with millions of invisible slaves, and Western corporations line up to benefit. Nike, Adidas, RH, and Apple, Gap, BMW, Volkswagen, Amazon. Every time a company says we see no evidence of forced labor, the translation is simple. We don't want to lose access to the Chinese market. This is not corporate ignorance. It is corporate complicity, bought with cheap labor and guaranteed profits. 4. Forced sterilization, the most chilling element of the genocide. Between 2015 and 2018, birth rates in Uyghur-majority regions collapsed by an unprecedented 60%, the fastest demographic decline ever recorded outside of wartime. The reason? Forced IUD insertions, forced abortions, forced sterilizations, long prison sentences for women who resist. China claims this is family planning. But the data exposes the truth. Han Chinese birth rates increased during the same period. This is genocide by the UN definition, explicitly, clearly, undeniably. Measures intended to prevent births within a group. Not metaphorical genocide. Not cultural genocide. Genocide by textbook definition. 5. The digital prison. How AI and surveillance make the genocide more efficient. China has built the most advanced system of racial profiling in human history. Across Xinjiang, Every home has a QR code on its door. Every street has AI-powered cameras. Every phone is forcibly installed with spyware. Every biometric trait is stored in government databases. Every mosque is under full surveillance. Every movement is logged in real time. Algorithms categorize Uyghurs by trustworthiness scores. People are flagged for praying, growing a beard, communicating with relatives abroad, using WhatsApp, owning books in Arabic, having more than 2 children, not drinking alcohol. Machines decide who is a threat, and machines never say no. This is genocide industrialized. Genocide automated. Genocide as a state-of-the-art digital project. 6. Where is the world? Why does no one stop China? This is where the silence becomes criminal. The world is not confused. The world is not uninformed. The world is not uncertain. The world is afraid. China is too powerful economically. Manufacturing, rare earth minerals, solar energy, pharmaceuticals, electronics, transportation, infrastructure contracts, global loans. The world depends on China because it chose to be dependent. And China knows it. When activists speak, Beijing punishes journalists. When governments speak, Beijing threatens trade. When parliaments condemn the genocide, Beijing bans officials. When a country criticizes the camps, Beijing restricts imports. When a Muslim nation raises concern, Beijing reminds them of the billions it invests in their economies. The result? The EU is silent. The US is hesitant and hypocritical. The Muslim world is mute. The UN is toothless. The OIC is bought. NATO pretends this is not our jurisdiction. The world moves on to the next news cycle, and the Uyghurs continue to disappear. 7. The hypocrisy of the Muslim world, a betrayal written in oil and money. Saudi Arabia, UAE, Pakistan, Egypt, Bahrain, Oman, Kuwait, not only silent but supportive of China's counterterrorism policies. These governments, who claim to defend Muslims everywhere, have deported Uyghur asylum seekers back to China, praised China's human rights development, signed joint statements defending the camps, celebrated China as a model of stability. Not one Muslim-majority country has sanctioned China. Not one has cut diplomatic ties. Not one has demanded international investigations. The reason is simple: oil for investment, silence for survival, loyalty for loans. This is betrayal, historic, shameful, and unforgettable. 8. The United Nations, a monument of uselessness. The UN has proven once again to be an institution built on resolutions without enforcement, moral outrage without action, and speeches without consequences. China sits on the UN Human Rights Council. China controls UN voting blocs through economic pressure. China blocks investigations. China limits access. China threatens sanctions on any country that signs public criticism. And the UN, paralyzed, whispers concern. Concern does not save lives. Concern does not free slaves. Concern does not stop genocide. Concern is cowardice disguised as diplomacy. 9. Why this genocide matters to everyone. The future is being tested in Xinjiang. Xinjiang is not just a tragedy, it is a prototype. The world is watching whether a powerful nation can carry out a genocide in real time, with full visibility, without consequences. If China succeeds, other governments will learn the same lesson. You can do anything, as long as you are economically useful to the world. If this genocide is allowed to stand, digital surveillance will spread worldwide, AI policing will become standard, ethnic profiling will become normalized, forced labor will be rebranded as economic rehabilitation. Internment camps will become an acceptable tool for political stability. The meaning of human rights will collapse. Genocide itself will lose its meaning. The Uyghur genocide is not an isolated crime. It is a warning. 10. Accountability now. What must be done? This is where the world either redeems itself or condemns itself. 1. A full UN investigation into genocide and crimes against humanity. 2. International criminal indictments for senior CCP officials. 3. Sanctions targeting Chinese leadership, not Chinese citizens. 4. Immediate ban on all imports linked to forced Uyghur labor. 5. Global corporate boycott of companies benefiting from forced labor. 6. Free access to Xinjiang for foreign journalists and human rights monitors. 7. Diplomatic pressure campaigns across Muslim-majority nations. 8. Recognition of the Uyghur genocide by every democratic parliament. 9. A UN-protected humanitarian corridor for Uyghurs seeking asylum. 10. Permanent refugee programs for Uyghur families worldwide. Anything less is surrender. Anything less is complicity. Anything less is betrayal. The final word. History is watching. The Uyghur genocide is the single greatest moral test of the 21st century. Not because of its scale, though the scale is massive. Not because of its cruelty, though the cruelty is extreme. But because it is happening in front of us, in real time, with full knowledge, with unlimited evidence, and with global awareness. This is not like the Holocaust, where the world claimed it did not know. This is not like Rwanda, where the world claimed it could not act. This is not like Bosnia, where the world claimed it reacted too late. Here, the world knows everything and chooses silence. That is the real horror. If the Uyghur people disappear, they will not disappear in darkness. They will disappear in broad daylight, while the world watches quietly, hoping the price of speaking out is not too high. But justice will come. Genocide never remains buried. No regime escapes the weight of the truth forever. And when the day of justice arrives, the world will be forced to confront a question it cannot escape. Why did we stay silent when we could have stopped it?